Hello there, I'm Otto Othman, and thanks for joining me this Friday on 7Edition. The headlines. Pre-dawn crash kills 5 in a family. Malays may react to anti-Jawi Congress by Dong Jong, says Tun Dr. Mahathir. And Goldman Sachs close to paying $2 billion fine in one MDB scandal. The Prime Minister today cautioned of repercussions of Chinese education group Dong Jiazhong goes ahead with a planned Congress over the teaching of Jawi script in vernacular schools. Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad said such an action may only result in retaliation from Malay groups.
That will only result in Malays having their Congress and also talking about closing down Chinese school and all that. You do that kind of thing, you get reaction. We are a multiracial country. It is important for us to be considerate about other people's vision.
The Prime Minister was speaking to reporters on the sidelines of the KL Summit 2019 today. He said the people have to be sensitive towards other races and refrain from making unnecessary attacks, as it would only lead to chaos and instability. The Chinese educationist group, which is opposing the implementation of Jawi in vernacular schools, plan to hold the Congress on December 28th at the New Era College in Kajang, Selangor. Meanwhile, Tun Dr. Mahathir has reiterated his calls for all Muslim countries to cooperate with Malaysia, Pakistan and Turkey to counter Islamophobia through the formation of a television channel. He also expressed hope that through the cooperation, the Muslim countries can erase all anti-Muslim propaganda which has become out of control, as well as the perception that Muslims are terrorists. The Prime Minister initially made such proposal when he met Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and Pakistani Premier Imran Khan on the sidelines of the 74th United Nations General Assembly in New York in September. Tun Dr. Mahathir had said that the effort to set up the English television channel would be spearheaded by the information departments of Malaysia, Turkey and Pakistan. This is to address the confusion on Islam, as the three countries felt that many reports about the religion and Muslims were inaccurate and did not reflect its true principles and values.
But even so, what do we gain by such?
Wealth redistribution, technology, food security and education in the Islamic world were among the topics up for deliberation on the third day of the KL Summit 2019. Kicking off proceedings at the Kuala Lumpur Convention Centre, KLCC, this morning was a special session on the topic of why education is the key to national development. Here's Wanizul Islam with the details.
Education Minister Dr. Mazli Malik in his keynote address expressed how Malaysia's higher education institutions should collaborate more with well-known international Islamic universities. New and modern educational approaches, overcoming the challenges of the Industrial Revolution 4.0 and renewed research methodologies are what he believes should be focused on in the collaboration. He also urged the global Islamic education system to put emphasis on the value of humanity and promote the attitude of iktikan, which means being excellent in whatever work you do with the right attitude or spirit. The special dialogue session was then followed by 4 plenary sessions hosted by key leaders focusing on the topics of wealth, food security, technology and national identity. During the session on wealth redistribution and shared prosperity, Economic Affairs Minister Datuk Seri Azmin Ali urged Muslim countries to increase investment and trade amongst themselves to help prosper one another. Muslims and Muslim majority nations accounted for approximately $6.5 trillion in 7.6% of the global economy in 2018, and this figure should enable Muslim countries to invest in and support each other's economies. He also advised that Muslim countries should create a framework similar to Malaysia's Shared Prosperity Vision 2030 that will help restructure the country's economy to bridge the gap between the rich and the poor. Another 2 sessions were held on advanced high technology and the preservation of national identity, which discussed new and workable solutions to issues afflicting the Muslim world. And those are the main highlights I have for you for today. Wanizul Islam from KLCC reporting for 7Edition.
Finance Minister Lim Guan Eng today made it clear he has not approved the sale of any national assets. He stressed that international credit rating agencies' affirmation of Malaysia's sovereign credit rating at A- or A3 with stable outlook was strong evidence that the government had been prudent and transparent in its fiscal management. In a statement, Lim emphasized that he had not approved any sale of national assets and land, which in fact was implemented by other agencies not associated with his ministry. He also said that the recent positive reports from the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, IMF, had also confirmed Malaysia's fiscal position as previously reported by the management. The minister said Malaysia was reported to be making progress on the reform agenda, which had seen sustained economic growth, subdued inflation, and a current account surplus. Overall, the government's debt and liabilities has decreased from 79.3% of the gross domestic product (GDP) in end 2017 to 77.1% as at end June 2019. This shows the success and commitment of the Pakatan Harapan-led government in its debt and liabilities consolidation efforts. In the medium term, the government targets to further lower its total debt and liabilities to 65% of the GDP by end of 2025. The government will continue to ensure Permodalan Nasional Berhad (PNB) practices good governance with accountability and transparency. Economic Affairs Minister Datuk Seri Muhammad Azmin Ali said the lowest dividend payout for its Amanah Saham Bumi Putra ASB Trust unit announced recently was due to legacy issues with the previous management, and the new management has done their best despite the current economic challenges.
Yang penting is the issue of governance. We want to make sure that PNB is being governed dengan ketelusan, kebertanggungjawaban, but PNB will do the explanation. But it involved 9 over billion ringgit. It's not small amount of money. Dalam keadaan sekarang, I think PNB has done their level best to ensure that the depositors and the shareholders will get a better return for the next many years to come.
Datuk Seri Muhammad Azmin also stressed that the decline of local stocks was one of the factors to what the weak ASB payout, apart from the uncertain global economy. On Wednesday, PNB announced a total income distribution payout of 9 billion ringgit or 5.5 sen per unit for ASB unit holders, comprising a 5 sen distribution and a 0.5 sen bonus for the year ending December 31st, 2019.
As well as phase 2 of Battersea Power Station in the first half of
Meanwhile, commenting on Malaysia Airlines Berhad's search on a strategic partner, Datuk Seri Muhammad Azmin said Khazanah Nasional Berhad has yet to decide as current proposals are not attractive enough.
This matter was discussed, but the proposal which was presented in the board meeting was not attractive enough for us to decide. So the chairman and Prime Minister and the board agreed that we should look into other options before we can come up with the final decision on this.
He added Khazanah has received over 20 proposals by potential partners from both regional and international players, and 4 was shortlisted. A decision on MES strategic partner is expected to be finalized by early next year. Tragedy tonight as 5 members of a family were killed in a collision with a lorry near Kuala Kubu Baru. They were travelling from Kedah to Shah Alam to attend an Akikah ceremony. The victim's family heartbroken over the tragedy. Police are investigating the crash that turned this car into a wreck, killing all 5 passengers inside. The fatal collision occurred here at kilometer 427.5 of the Plus Highway, heading south at around 5 a.m. today. The victims, identified as Muhammad Rozi Abdul Kadir, aged 52, the driver of the car, sisters Jamila and Bashira Jalim, alias Jamil, and 2 teens aged 17 and 18. The 35-year-old lorry driver, meanwhile, escaped unhurt.
Susulan daripada itu, pergerakan daripada utara ke selatan agak perlahan dan keadaan selepas hujan di mana keadaan lebuh raya yang agak licin. Daripada itu telah berlaku satu kemalangan di sebuah lori yang bergerak perlahan yang membuatkan telah dirempuh daripada belakang oleh kenderaan MyV.
The victims were reportedly part of a convoy that left at 10 p.m. yesterday from Kedah to attend their relatives' Akikah ceremony in Shah Alam.
Kami nak singgah nak buang ayak lah, panggil no kencil lah senang. Hantu jalan dulu amak, pelan-pelan. Saat ni tempat tanah kami kuat lepas. Hantu sampai nak dekat sampai dah. Saya telefon sampai 5 orang ni, pergi mana habis leno ke? Seorang tak angkat. Pelik kata ni. Saya suruh keteringan. Tak apa, dia nak pergi masak juga. Seronok nak pergi masak.
Dia rasa macam dia nak buat semua. Dia macam dia excited lah untuk kenduri saya ni. Tapi saya tak sangka pula saya buat kenduri untuk dia.
Saya buat masak kenduri sana.
The victims' remains have been taken to Kampung Ruat Muslim Cemetery in Yan, Kedah for burial. A couple was charged at the Ipoh Sessions Court today with exploiting and abusing their Indonesian maid 8 years ago. The husband and wife, however, pleaded not guilty when the charges were read to them separately before Judge Azman Abu Hassan. 36-year-old J. Jayamala, a mother of 2, was charged with 2 counts of exploiting and abusing the maid to the extent of causing severe bodily injuries. She was charged under the Anti-Trafficking in Persons and Anti-Smuggling of Migrants Act, ATIPSOM, which carries a maximum 3 years imprisonment and is liable to fine. For voluntarily causing hurt, the accused faces up to 7 years in jail and also liable to a fine upon conviction under the Penal Code. As for her spouse, 35-year-old V. Chandru, who runs a tent rental business, he was also charged under ATIPSOM with exploiting his maid and faces imprisonment not more than 15 years and a fine if found guilty. The offences were committed at their home in Taman Keledang Emas between 2011 and October 20th this year. The court allowed bail of 10,000 ringgit with 1 surety each and set January 20th for mention. It was reported that the victim was not even allowed to return to her country and was believed to have been abused by her employers for 8 years to the extent of making her become blind. When she was rescued by authorities, the 29-year-old foreign woman was found traumatized and with various injuries all over her body. We're taking a short break. When we return, unidentified gunman opens fire on intelligence agency in Moscow. Stay tuned for the details. Thank you for staying with us. Goldman Sachs is close to reaching a settlement of nearly $2 billion with the U.S. Department of Justice over the One Malaysia Development Berhad 1MDB scandal. The agreement was reached in efforts to settle allegations that Wall Street firm ignored red flags while billions of dollars were looted from 1MDB. The Wall Street Bank is said to be formulating a deal under its Asian subsidiary rather than the parent company, would plead guilty to violating U.S. bribery laws. In the agreement, the company would also have to agree on continuing oversight of its compliance procedures from an independent monitor in order to resolve a criminal probe into its role in the scandal. The settlement package would end the U.S. Justice Department's investigation into Goldman Sachs' role as an underwriter and arranger of bond sales for the wealth fund, totaling $6.5 billion. A deal could be reached next month. 93 Rohingya Muslims, including 23 children, wept in Myanmar court on Friday as they were hauled in to face charges of illegally traveling without proper documents. If convicted, they face up to 2 years in prison. They were arrested on November 28th on a beach in the Irrawaddy Delta region, where fleeing apartheid-like conditions in the country's Rakhine state. They were brought to a court in the Delta town of Pathain to listen to the testimony of an immigration officer who accused them of not having necessary documents for traveling. Their defense lawyer said they ran away from Rakhine State to escape trouble. Footage previously released by rights group Fortify Rights showed the group of 93 crammed into overcrowded cells while awaiting trial on December 2nd. In 2017, more than 730,000 Rohingya fled Myanmar to Bangladesh to escape a military-led crackdown that UN investigators have said was carried out with genocidal intent and included mass killings and rapes. Hong Kong police have frozen $10 million worth of cash from a major fund to help pro-democracy protesters and arrested its 4 members, accusing them of money laundering. The detained were 3 men and a woman, aged between 17 and 50, from Spark Alliance, a non-profit online platform that are accusing the police of smear tactics over the allegation. Police said their investigation focused on the company, formed in 2016, that collects donations to provide support to political critics of the city's pro-Beijing authorities. It is one of 2 crowdsourced funding platforms that have collected millions of dollars to provide legal and other help for people arrested in pro-democracy protests that have upended the city since early June. Police alleged on Thursday some of the donations were used by the fund owners for other investments. They claim that people could risk committing offences of inciting or facilitating crimes if a person knowingly financed unlawful activities. In a statement on its Facebook page, Spark Alliance described the police allegations as smears. A man was shot dead after an unidentified gunman opened fire at the office of Russia's main intelligence agency in Moscow on Thursday. According to officials, the assailant shot and injured a number of people. Armed officers were reported to have been carrying out sweeps of neighboring region for possible accomplices after they shot the suspect dead. Social media footage shows a man described as a traffic police officer laying motionless after he was fatally shot by the gunman. A few rounds of gunshots were heard afterwards. According to Russian media reports, the man attacked the reception of the Lubyanka building, home to the Federal Security Service, FSB. A major security operation was launched as heavy gunfire rang out across the square and the surrounding area. Sources say that at least 5 FSB guards were injured in the shooting, with 2 in critical condition. The assailant then reportedly fled and barricaded himself inside a neighboring building before security services shot him dead. They are now seeking to establish his identity, and traffic in the area was blocked in the wake of the incident. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison has apologized for going on holiday in Hawaii this week while the nation's bushfire crisis worsened. His absence this week has drawn condemnation and protest, and the Prime Minister has said he would end his leave early. In an extraordinary apology to the Australian public, Morrison expressed his sympathies for the bushfire victims. He had been heavily criticized this week while on vacation in Hawaii, with protests outside his residence at Kirribilli House in Sydney yesterday. Fires are raging across the nation amid a heat wave, which has produced the nation's 2 hottest days on record. 2 volunteer firefighters died in a road accident on Thursday while deployed to a huge blaze near Sydney. Australia's bushfire emergency has killed 8 people, destroyed more than 700 houses, and scorched millions of hectares since September. More than 100 fires broke out in South Australia amid catastrophic conditions on Friday, while New South Wales is bracing for similar conditions on Saturday. Now let's hop on to Clickbait, where we take a look at what's trending and making rounds in the cyber world today. Diners at a packed Subang Jaya coffee shop were startled on Wednesday when a car suddenly plowed through the tables and chairs in the premises. A witness in the restaurant managed to capture moments of the incident and shared it on Facebook yesterday, which has since gone viral with over 130,000 views. Take a look. It was a close shave for restaurant patrons in Subang Jaya on Wednesday. Facebook user Alan Chamway Lun noted that the driver crashed into the eatery at a slow speed, giving enough time for customers to dodge the car to safety. According to local municipal council councillor Lee Jianyun, no one was injured in the incident. Despite the startling accident, netizens were quick to find humor in the situation, with some joking that the motorist must have confused the restaurant for a drive-through. Now updated as of 7 p.m, here are the top trending topics and searches on the internet today. Thank you for sticking with us. Khazanah Nasional Berhad announced that the country's leading e-wallet service providers, Touch and Go, eWallet, Boost and GrabPay, have been selected to participate in the federal government's 450 million ringgit e-Tunai Rakyat initiative. The three e-wallet service providers are among Malaysia's largest and collectively provide a ready platform for the program, which is scheduled to be launched on January 15th next year. Khazanah, in a statement, said Malaysians 18 years of age and above who earn less than 100,000 ringgit annually will be eligible to receive 30 ringgit each through any of the participating e-wallets. The Sovereign Wealth Fund was appointed by the Finance Ministry to facilitate and coordinate the implementation and launch of the e-Tunai Rakyat initiative within the given time frame. Members of the public can also visit the websites of the e-wallet service providers for further information on the initiative. Bursa Malaysia ended the week on a higher note as window dressing resumed on selected heavyweights led by energy stocks. The benchmark FBM-KLCI jumped 14.17 points to end at 1,610.18 points compared with yesterday's early close. On to stocks to watch. MyNews Holdings Berhad's earnings fell below analyst expectations, with the shortfall being predominantly due to higher than expected startup losses from its food processing center. However, into financial year 2020, the company's top-line growth prospects hinges on fresh food demand, which in turn will drive fresh food demand and potentially lift margins on better product mix. Next, and last but not on the list, IJM Plantations Berhad is expected to see cost reduction with their new plantation unit in North Kalimantan, supported by a new palm oil mill, which would be commencing operations anytime soon. The new PT Sinergi Agro palm oil mill would help reduce IJMP's transportation costs and improve operating profit margins in Kalimantan. National Wushu exponent Loh Chun Hao and artistic gymnast Queen Farah Ann Abdul Hadi were named the Olympic Council of Malaysia OCM's Male and Female Olympians of the Year for for their outstanding performances throughout the season. The awards were presented at the 26th OCM Annual Dinner and Awards Night in Kuala Lumpur on Thursday. Farah Ann, 25 years old, showcased spectacular and hypnotizing performances to clinch 3 gold medals at the recent 30th SEA Games in Manila in the women's all-round floor exercise and uneven bars categories. She now has 7 gold, 2 silver and 3 bronze medals since her debut at the Biennial Games in 2011 in Indonesia. Prior to that, Farah Ann became the first Malaysian woman artistic gymnast to qualify for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics during the qualifying sessions of the World Championships in Stuttgart, Germany last October.
Sebagai atlet, ini adalah satu pengetahuan yang sangat besar. Ini the biggest pengetahuan yang sebagai atlet saya boleh dapat. So untuk saya just sangat first terkejut dan juga saya sangat berterima kasih sebab saya selama 22 tahun ni saya buat gimnastik. So inilah pengetahuan yang paling besar dalam career saya.
Meanwhile, Loh raked in the only 2 gold medals won in Wushu at the recent SEA Games, with victories in the men's Taiji Jian and Taiji Chuan disciplines. The 26-year-old dominated both events on the carpet in Manila despite carrying knee and back injuries.
So first happy lah, so sebab saya dah ada fikir banyak, pun tak tahu nak cakap apa, yang nak cakap ialah thanks to OCM, thanks to MSN. Yang important thing, okay, my president Datuk Chong Kim Fat, my coach, they always support me, they believe me, and we have a good cooperation. So become today the honor of today. Yeah.
They each received 10,000 ringgit cash and special gold medals. Universal Pictures just released the official trailer of the film 1917, which tells the story of 2 young British soldiers racing against time with a seemingly impossible mission that will save hundreds of soldiers from a deadly massacre. The film will be hitting theaters January 16th next year, and its trailer wraps up tonight's news. Take a look. I'm Otto Othman. Thanks for watching and have a splendid weekend ahead.